that gives us to our next very dumb thing here, which we also got an email on. So I'm going to read that first, and then we'll jump into this. This was the other, just we'll say tone deaf. Okay. Andrew from Jamestown, North Dakota. Hi, 572. Is it just me, or is Microsoft once again fucked up with this very lame appeal to the gamers in their terms attempt to try and pull with the announcement that Avowed would see a slight delay till February of 2025? It just comes off leaving me yet another bad taste in my mouth. To give you more time for your backlog. Are you serious? This company can't even get games out, but they expect Xbox users to have a backlog. It just came off as a joke. At least they have the dignity to say that they need more time. And that's what I agree with. Like, if they would have just came out and said, because again, we haven't had a concrete date for this game.
Mm-hmm.
So if they would have just came out and they've been like, okay, you know what, guys, we're sorry. They need a couple more months. Here's the date. And they actually gave it a full date. It's February 18th. So it has a concrete date.
No, it doesn't. It means nothing.
No, I know, but it's not just February, but I mean, again, could that get delayed till May? Maybe.
It's just more lies.
But again, to come out and do the whole, we're on your side, we're gamers like you, and we know you have this big backlog when your one game that came out this year that is exclusive to your platform is 6 hours long. So to put that out and then expect
this is one of the dumbest things they've ever said
for people that are only have the Xbox, because again, people have PlayStation stuff. They everybody has a backlog of shit. Sure, but to use that as your excuse and not just come out and say we need more time. Again, people would have bitched, but it would have been accepted more of like, all right, this sucks and I don't like it, but I understand.
It's just to use the phrase "your backlog" is so fucking stupid. What they should have done, what they probably meant, and what they should have said was play more shit on Game Pass. Use Game Pass to play more games. That's what the spin should have been.
Yeah.
But to imply that I've got all these great Xbox games, I don't have the time to play by the time Avowed comes out in a couple months. Well, now we're going to give you 4 more months. You can play all these fantastic, unbelievable Xbox games. Fuck off.
When you and I both know that, like, on the other side of this, Indiana Jones is probably going to be delayed until early next year.
It's super fucked now.
So if those 2 games do get delayed, we're looking at another sad fall for the Xbox.
Oh, wow. Another year in a row. This is what we said the last time we talked about all this stuff. Like
3 years in a row.
After the conference where they finally were like, boom, 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 perfect art, boom. They showed everything. And it's like, shit, we have all of it. Fable, all of it's here. But we said that what did we say back then? Okay, fine. You have to fucking release something.
You have to do it to this.
And they still can't do it.
No.
They still it seems like it's fucking impossible at this company to get anything right ever. And it's every single time.
I've said it before and I continue to say it. I think having one person in charge, which is that Matt Booty guy, be the person that is in charge of however many, they're like 25 teams now.
It's too much.
With how many acquisition is too much for one person, which means what deadlines are there going to be that this dude is following up on all the time when you have that many studios to handle? They should have more people involved.
Well, and
checking on this.
Well, the other thing too is like you go back in time to what mid 2000s, right? When games where it was basically like you have to put this out in November or everybody's fucked. So you got a game no matter if it was done or not. And eventually it got to a point where everybody was tired of that. We didn't want that anymore. And we all kind of agreed as like a community, like a game playing community, that it's like we'd rather just have a finished game.
Yeah.
Like just take the time and make the game and put it out and we'll play it then. And then game companies finally started to realize it's okay. It's okay if a AAA title takes 4 years for a sequel or something. Like Spider-Man or Uncharted game. And like it's okay if it takes time. But now we're at a point where it's 10 years, 12 years. Like, well, we got to push something back. Well, it's got a new studio. Holy shit, dude. Like,
yeah.
It's flipped so hard the other way that it makes me less interested. I don't have an Xbox yet. Thank God I don't have an Xbox yet. Thank God I didn't want to buy one for a bet. Like Indiana Jones is the first game that might make me want to do it. Now I think it feels like I have a year before I even have to worry about that.
I feel like that's right.
It's crazy.
I feel like that's correct.
And also, like, we did these 4 Xbox games on PlayStation, and by all accounts, they all did really well.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the next batch of that?
It's surprising, right?
They haven't said anything about any of them.
No.
Nothing. Like, you can't tell me that you couldn't. What's a game that could easily get moved over that they don't give a shit about anymore?
I was gonna say State of Decay 2.
Boom, perfect. You
Like,
you have 3 coming out. Let the people on PlayStation play 2. Did Hellblade 1 come out on PlayStation? It did, right?
It did.
Okay.
It did.
Yeah.
But like, there's
Hellblade 2 seems like it's primed to come to
do
PlayStation.
it. Just say it comes out in December. Nobody gives a shit anymore. But like, I hate ranting about this because it's like I want to like Xbox. I really do.
They make it. Really
I have since the first one. When I played it at Game Crazy and went, damn, this system's pretty good. I need to get one. They make it almost fucking impossible now to believe a single word any of them say about anything.
Yeah, that's sad.
Sony, at least I get this shit, whether or not I like the people that run that company, which I don't. Most of this shit just comes out. It's here.
It does. Like I said, in the last year, I've played more on my PC than anything else.
Yeah,
which is crazy because that's never that's never been the way for me since I was in high school. So,
there was a
wildly different time.
There was a long period of time where you could argue from like the PS2 days till the end of the 360 era, PC gaming was low.
Yeah.
It wasn't
like it is now.
No, because at that time, like, Steam came out, but Steam didn't really pick up to where it is now until like 2010, 2011. I was going to say,
like, early teens.
Where it was like really wildly acceptable.
Right.
When Steam first came out, people fucking hated that
shit. And it was like,
we
all played computer games up until around the PS2 era. And then it just became easier to buy a console. And they made games for consoles. And it was just easier to get a hold of. You had Xbox and GameCube and all this stuff.
And it took a while for PC gaming to catch up to that point. See, because, I mean, I think about when I graduated high school. And people, at that time, like, you didn't hear people at that point building their own PCs.
No, and it was a lot of
maybe the beginning of it.
It wasn't as common because it wasn't as common to actually like be able to buy the parts separately.
It wasn't until about like 5 or 6 years later, like 2010, 2011, where it was like, okay, that's a common thing now.
Right.
I should probably do that, and then I did.
And even then, it was like, well, you're buying a computer and you're putting your own video card in. Like, you would buy a pre-built machine.
Yeah, because like it is. The first computer that I bought was from Dell.
Yeah,
like with my own money. Like, myself was a desktop from Dell, and I used that from 2007 until about 2012.
I had an E-machine that I upgraded as much as possible, and that's where I first played Final Fantasy VII.
There you go.
But then that's another story. But then eventually that game stopped working on disc 3, so I finally had to just say fuck it, and I went and I bought a PS1 copy. But
there you go.
But it's just, I want so badly to like Microsoft. I would like to own an Xbox. I have zero reason to own an Xbox.
And the thing that kills me the most about it is the Series X is a very well made machine. It is exactly what the last system should have been.
Right.
It works perfectly when you turn it on. It doesn't have any issues with the UI like the last system did.
But what's the selling point of it?
Exactly. And that's the problem. For me, the selling point of it is I have a massive Xbox digital library.
Sure.
And it's also the system that my girlfriend plays, and I only have to buy one digital copy of a game. We both play it.
Sure.
So it works for me.
There are selling points for you, but the average consumer,
average person, probably should buy a PlayStation.
Not only is the naming convention mixed up, but and we still agree that even though Game Pass is up in price, blah blah, it's still an incredible value. Like, I'm not.
It is still, yeah.
And it's only gonna get better. They just put all the crash shit on there. Like, it's only gonna get better in terms of value, but they don't even market that well enough. If that's the point, you can't tell me that you couldn't just make like an Xbox that's $200 that plays Game Pass shit, or $150 and it streams. They're like. I know that they're working towards that stuff, but why is that still not here either?
I think that's what the next thing is going to be.
Sure, that's fine. But we're talking. They've done advertisements for playing Starfield on a fucking smart TV. why isn't this a thing? Like, it's just not a thing.
They also just did that thing where they unlocked the ability to do that on like 3 different versions of the Amazon Fire Stick.
On the newer versions of Fire Stick.
Yeah.
Why don't they talk about that as much?
They don't seem like they talk about that nearly as much. I mean, they literally have on Amazon, you can buy a bundle with a controller.
Sure.
And a Fire Stick.
You get that and a Game Pass subscription, and boom, you're ready to go.
Yeah.
But it almost seems like, what do they market? I don't even understand anymore. They don't market a console.
No.
They don't market. They talk about Game Pass. They don't market it.
They're still in this like era, and they've been stuck in this, I think, for the last year and a half of just brand identity issues. Where they just don't know what they want to actually do.
But then they come out at, not E3 and go, check out all these fucking games. Look at all these games.
Yeah, we still care about this system, and we still care about, but they don't.
You really
don't talk about it.
You really don't at all. And
they're going to do the same thing in 2 weeks when they're at Gamescom.
Right. You don't show me anything, ever.
Which, for whatever reason, they're saying they're going to have a bigger presence at Gamescom than they've ever had.
To show what?
Exactly. That's why I'm super curious to see, like, what are you going to show? Is this where you're going to announce Indiana Jones is delayed?
Like, no, they'll let it get closer.
I think you get to October.
Yeah, and then they go,
random day in
God,
October.
you know what, guys? July sounds a lot better for Indiana Jones. And that's when I finally just tell them, go fuck yourselves.
They go, you know what, guys? Indiana Jones got stuck in this tomb, and he's not going to be able to get out of it for 3 months. Like, it'll be some dumb comment like that, right?
It'll give you some time to chase the snakes away. You know what we're saying?
I feel like
fuck off.
They gave that announcement to some intern because it was on a Friday. And because it wasn't today, it was the previous Friday when they did that, and I feel like they gave it to the intern, like, come up with something clever, and that's what this fucking dude did.
What if it was AI, and they were just like,
or that? Yeah.
Hey Google, write me a funny story about how we have to delay Avowed.
Yeah.
Or sorry. Hey Bing, write me a funny story about how, and that's why it sucks, is because it's Bing.
And they high-fived and said, "We're out for the day."
Like, who? Yep. I can't imagine. Like, somebody had to write this. And then someone had to approve.
Someone had to sign off on it.
I guarantee multiple people had to say, "Yeah, go for it."
Exactly.
This is great. It's funny. Like, they all laughed. Their laughs.
The amount of
went out and got in their fucking $200,000 sports cars and drove off, peeling out.
Exactly. Because again, it was literally done on like a Friday afternoon. You know, it was the last thing of the day. Like, here you go. We're out for the weekend.
And here's the other thing about all this too. And this is a Game Pass thing too. It's like, Avowed is a game. How many people are going to buy it?
Actually purchase it? PC people.
Right.
That only want to play it on Steam.
Right. So on Xbox, it's all just Game Pass numbers anyway. Now we're just pushing. But how many people are signing up for Game Pass for Avowed?
Everyone.
Game Pass isn't going to... Avowed isn't going to push the needle for Game Pass people. That's why they bought Call of Duty.
That's what Call of Duty's going to do.
Activision, but Call of Duty's what they were buying.
Right.
That stuff. Let's be real.
Well, there's that. But this whole thing just gets more frustrating every time they take a step up. Every time we're like, man, they finally did. They're finally back. But fucked it again. Because Perfect Dark is already, 26, we're guessing, right? Maybe next year.
Maybe 26. There's a world in which maybe they could shove that out at the end of next year, but I don't think so.
So let's say that is the world that does happen, where it is supposed to be the end of next year. That's already 26. I could already delay it for you right now if you want me to. Because it's going to get delayed. Every single game gets delayed.
If that game were somehow to come out at the end of next year, it's going to be another Halo Infinite disaster.
It'll be wrong.
It won't be ready.
Right.
Halo Infinite, I was talking to one of our buddies today about Halo Infinite. I told him, today, you go and play Halo Infinite, great game. Plays great. After all the updates, it has co-op. It has, a plethora of multiplayer options. You can play Firefight. Like, they brought that back, which they haven't done for a while with other 343 Halos. They tried to do that Warzone thing in 5. That was okay. But, again, now, if they would have delayed that game another year, it would have launched perfectly fine.
Hey, guess what? Starfield, same thing.
Yeah, Starfield's
another game
example.
They fucked up. Delayed it forever. Oops, it's still not good. A year later,
it took them 7 months to put out that 60 frame patch.
To put in a map.
That's wild.
And to put in a real
Put in
map.
a fucking map, it took 7 months.
And even then, I went back and I spent another 60, 70 hours with the game, and I had a great time.
Right.
But
all they did by delaying it, and putting it out broken was ruin it. Redfall, delayed. That game's trash. It's so bad we have to refund DLC packages. Fuck, dude.
Well,
what is going on? People at this company sign off on this constantly. It's like no one there has ever released a video game before or sees what happens when other companies fuck up. Oh wait, it's because Microsoft is the company that fucks up.
Constantly.
All the time.
Imagine not that this system would even exist without it, but imagine a world where they don't have Windows. They don't make money from Windows.
I don't think it's a company anymore.
How dead is this company? How fast is it dead? Months? Weeks? They call up everybody tomorrow and line them up outside, and they start loading shells into a shotgun. Click, click.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That is where they make all their money.
If they didn't have stuff to fall back on, it would be a faint memory.
It would. It's because I had somebody brought it up to me recently too of what if this is sometimes it feels like maybe this is the last generation of Xbox, and we joke about oh, it couldn't possibly happen, but maybe at one point the guy above Phil Spencer just says pull the plug.
What are we doing? Yeah, he just says what are we doing?
Let's just invest all this in Windows.
You guys had maybe in 3 years they look at it and they go, okay, the system's been out for this long and you released 10 games, but we have 20 fucking studios. How'd you release 10 games?
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
You let our biggest franchises all die. All of their big franchises are dead.
I think they fully believe that Fable is going to come out let's say it does come out next year. It comes out in 2025, and it's going to once again just retake its spot as a pillar franchise.
No.
And it's but even if the game's good, is it going to be the game people remember from 20 years ago?
It would have to be. It would have to be. It can't be good. It has to be great.
Exactly.
It has to be a 9. It can't be a 7. 7s are death.
And that's how many of these games come out for Microsoft and you're all hyped for it and it's a 7?
Right.
Yeah.
If Fable comes out and it's a 7, franchise is over. If Gears comes out and it's a 7, sorry guys, we're not making another Gears. We might remake the first one. That's a different thing than making a new one. But if the new one comes out and it's a 7, we should probably put that on hiatus too. Avowed comes out and it's a 7, or God forbid, a lower number. Shit, dude, we might as well just close this studio.
I was going to throw out there Indiana Jones. What if that comes out and that's a 7?
7? That's a thing I feel like maybe could get away with it. But it also can't because it's made by the Wolfenstein guys.
Exactly.
So
it's
we have
that game comes out and it's a 7, but everything that those people have put out before are for all intents and purposes 9s and 10s. 8s, 9s, and 10s.
Then that game's problem is we have a baseline for what it should be.
Yeah.
And if it comes out as a 7, or God forbid lower. Imagine Indiana Jones comes out and it averages 5.5. Dead. You'll never see another Indiana Jones game for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Because the movie franchise is over. The only thing that's left is this.
You're only riding on something like Indiana Jones off of pure nostalgia now.
Right. For people our age.
And if that game comes out and it's anything lower than an 8, average,
it's over.
It's a disaster.
And then your next thing you gotta wait for is Elder Scrolls 6 in 2031, or whenever the fuck that actually comes out.
Whenever Todd says I'm retiring.
God, that'll be the last thing he makes.
That is his last game. I don't think he sticks around after that.
I feel like he could crank out a Fallout in between, just because Fallout games don't have to be that much different from each other.
They don't.
But Oblivion and Skyrim are very different. Morrowind is very different. Those games have to make a leap. Fallout doesn't anymore.
The other thing that kills me when it comes to Fallout is all right, you have this massively successful TV show, probably one of the most successful, if not the most successful new TV show of this year. Why wouldn't you at Microsoft go, okay, obviously Todd Howard, they're busy. They're making Elder Scrolls. They're doing Starfield stuff. We have an own Obsidian. They made New Vegas. Let them make. It doesn't have to be New Vegas too.
No,
but they could make a new Fallout.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not a numbered Fallout because I could see Bethesda not being happy about that. But let's say they make another like Fallout, whatever the
Side
location
story.
may be.
Yeah, whatever you
Yeah.
want to do.
Why wouldn't you push for that when the hype is this high
Because
for that
they
franchise?
don't consider that stuff when they do this stuff anymore.
That's
they
the
don't.
part of it that's ridiculous to me. Is like they're leaving money on the floor as a company
Yep.
by not going, okay, what is it? What are they doing once? Because isn't Avowed? Avowed is Obsidian, right?
Yeah.
Obsidian, they did Outer.
That's why it
Outer
feels
World.
like New Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so like that's when it's like, okay, they're getting ready to be done shipping like Avowed in February. Let's say it hits in February. What's their next project other than Outer Worlds 2? They clearly have two teams.
Yeah.
They have a team that's
Because Outer
working on
Worlds
Outer
2
Worlds 2.
is in development, yes.
Yeah, so like, what's this Avowed team gonna do? Put them on a fucking Fallout game. Like, give them a deadline. Give them like 3 years. They already have the engine. They already have every tool they need. And if they really need any extra help, you also own Bethesda,
Right.
like right over here, and they wouldn't be upset with helping out on a Fallout project. So
Oh, for sure.
it just seems ridiculous to me for a company that owns so many studios, and then for something like this TV show to come out and catch fire the way it did. Like, I knew when it came out, like, it'll be popular. I did not expect it to hit the way it did. Where it is like I got people that don't even know what Fallout is.
And that's
talking
the thing.
about
And
it.
that's the thing about it that kicked off. Like, as someone who loves Fallout, I love that show to death. It's incredible.
It's great.
But people
It's
who
great.
don't play Fallout love that show.
My girlfriend knows jack shit about Fallout, and now she loves the ghoul character. It's like her favorite thing. She's looking. She like we've talked about. She's painted a mural of Master Chief in one of our rooms. She's painting a mural in the guest room of Jack Marston and the ghoul sitting at a bar in like a Western theme, because it's a Western theme, because we got a painting that we're going to be hanging up in that room that is a Western thing. So she had to come up with some idea. But like, that's the thing, like the ghoul, like this is something that she's never played any Fallout games. She didn't know anything. And the entire time we watched the show, she would ask me questions about it. I'm like, I don't know. Like some of it is from the game. Some of it they kind of just went with, but it makes sense in that universe.
Right.
So, but that's the point. It's like that show captured people that know nothing about Fallout. Now it's a massive success. Now you have people like, hey, I don't know anything about Fallout. I'd like to play some of these games. Look at Fallout 4. Look how it blew up on all the storefront.
It immediately jumped back into like the most played games on PlayStation at the time. Like they don't anticipate trends. They don't see trends. They think they make the trends. That is a problem. It is crazy to see. Like the 360 was an incredible high point of gaming, and you cannot deny
Microsoft's highest point.
You cannot deny that. Even if you're a PlayStation person, you cannot deny that the 360 was a far superior console to the PS3. For at least, you can maybe argue at the last year or two they were the same, but for the first 5 or 6 years, it wasn't close.
Yeah,
I'd argue about 2011 is where the PS3 became a more viable. Like, okay, there's
actually
a
a system
to own it.
you could buy. Yeah,
yeah.
And it wasn't.
Like, for me, I got one in 2009 because I needed a Blu-ray player.
Right, that's why I bought mine.
That's why I bought mine. And at that point, they had a better version of it, with the Slim and everything.
Right.
And then I started to play some of those games come out. And again, like they did have really good exclusives that came out. The Uncharted series, Last of Us. Like you can go down the list of stuff, but in terms of like multi-platform, a lot of those games that came out for the PS3 were a disaster.
It's just so crazy to like think about. They built the Xbox and they did enough to hang around, right? They capitalized on everything with the 360. And then when that era ended,
one guy,
Don Matrick, fucking killed that company. He committed suicide on stage.
Literally.
And just murdered everyone else in the room because he had no clue what he was doing. And decided, let's make something that is anti-consumer real quick and just see how it goes. And oops, we had to backtrack within 24 hours.
Still, like when we were still at GameStop, even towards the end, you would still have people come trickling in that would say, I don't want an Xbox because I can't play online.
Yeah. They still thought it. Because of something one guy said at the reveal.
Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy how much they've tanked, and they've never gotten it back.
They've never been able to recover fully from it.
Connect, like dumping all these resources into something nobody cares about. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, Sony did it too, and they should have let Sony be the ones who fucked up.
You know what's funny?
Right.
I saw it actually came out recently now. Like, we always suspected it, but it did actually come out recently that they did have that slide in their PlayStation press conference thing, that they were going to do the same, like, check-in stuff and all that. And they, because of the ability to go later that day, they made the smart decision of, hey, we're going to throw this out, and we're going to get this team to work on fixing that, removing that from this.
You can tell, because remember the presentation, they did that dumbass little video where they were like, here's how you borrow games with a friend. Yeah. You cannot tell me that was not shot that fucking day. There's no way.
Like, we got to fucking do this real quick.
The only reason that video would have existed is if they had known that Xbox was going to pull that. And there's no way that they knew that for certain before it happened. I'm sure it was a thing in Xbox. Everybody knew it. I'm sure people on PlayStation did know it. But you can't be 100% sure that that's what they're going to say. So they went and they shot this little video in whatever hotel they're in and put it in. Because remember, it was jokey. It was really silly.
It was really quick.
And it wouldn't have been so silly had they not been immediately reacting to what Xbox had just done. And it's
brilliant. It's a brilliant move.
It was. And that's what all of this stuff is like Microsoft going first fucking killed them.
They killed them on that.
And they wanted to get the jump out. Check out our system.
Remember how long it took? Like a month, I want to say, until they came out and finally said, hey, we're getting away from that.
Well, within like the first 24 hours, they had to come out and like clarify. Well, no, that's not what it means. And then a week later, they'd be like, well, he said something wrong, and it actually is this. And then a month later, they finally were like, yeah, never mind.
We're not going to do that.
Even though
it was too late.
You and I talked about it then, and we talk about it now, we're like, it wouldn't have changed much. Like, you're all online anyway. You didn't have to pay for online. You just had to be connected online once every 24 hours.
Too early.
Yes, it was early. But we're also talking about a generation of people who complain on the internet that they have to be on the internet.
Yeah, that's always the good point.
That was the thing we always made to people in the store. It's like, I can't believe I'd have to have my system connected to the internet. It has to do a check once a day. Or do you go on your computer once a day? Yes? Yeah. Then you're done. Like, it's come on. Like, let's be realistic.
Not the same, Dan.
No, it's
okay.
It's just it was one of the things that annoyed me the most because it would have made your life easier. It honestly would have improved your life. But you had to say no.
That summer was a nightmare.
It was awful.
from that E3 until those systems launched, it was a nightmare because it was just a lot of like, no, let me explain how this works, and then either the person would listen to you or they wouldn't. So most wouldn't. And then the other thing I hated the most were the kids that would come in and like it would happen all the time, flip flop between one system and the other. How many times do we have people where you would tell them like, look, man, at some point this is going to be turned off and you're locked in.
Right.
So if you're locked in and you have a PlayStation and all of a sudden you come in and you're like, well, I want to switch to the Xbox, you can't now because the pre-orders are gone.
Right.
Yeah.
So
do you think that was the summer when misinformation was invented?
Maybe.
Yeah. And now it's just a rampant thing, but maybe Xbox was the one that kicked it off.
Maybe. Don Matrick.
Yeah, Don Matrick.
All his fault.
Everything. And how long
ruined it all?
He was when would he leave?
Shortly after, because it was like Phil Spencer took over. And
did he go to Zynga or did he come from Zynga? I think he went to Zynga. Yeah,
he went to Zynga, and then Phil Spencer took over in April of 2014. Because remember, the first thing he did within a week of being there was like, "You don't need this Kinect anymore."
Yeah,
that was literally the first thing. He's just like, "We're not doing this."
Remember
Kinect
that
anymore.
Forced Kinect? Fucked was that?
You know what? I used it for a couple of years to scan QR codes
until they stopped printing them on the codes,
and they stopped printing those. Yeah. That's what I used it for.
That's what I used it for.
When they redesigned it and put out that slim model where you had to buy that special adapter, that's when I was like, I'm not doing it.
No, I'm done.
Like, fuck this.
I don't want to dance to I'm a Han Solo in Star Wars Kinect anymore.
Why not?
I don't think I ever...
It got too good.
Didn't we use it like once or twice for Skype calls? And like, that was fine, but like...
I think we tried it for that. I think we were just kind of messing around to see like what it would do.
But that we didn't do anything else.
Never...
Or, like, the connectivity they use for like Dead Rising and stuff, that like none of it works.
All the games sucked. Like,
Yeah, just
remember Blackwater?
I was gonna say, but hey, man, the ghost hunting, they love that Connect.
No,
Ghost hunting
Paranormal
people?
Activity.
Yeah, like that shit works great for them. So.
Sure.
So it worked out in the end.
Must be why I had 100 used ones in my store all the time.
Well,